All right, Donald Trump has been gaffing left and right since he lost in the Iowa caucus. One of my favorite stories that I wanted to talk about from the Trump is actually we're going to do a little digging in the file of Donald Trump's Twitter. And he actually, this is interesting, posted a tweet in December of 2013, and he posted the quote, "No one remembers who came in second." Now, who came in second in the Iowa caucus?
Donald Trump.
I don't remember.
Trump,
Was that
Trump?
Did he come in second?
Trump. Yeah, he did.
Ooh, that hurts. Now, what's interesting about that tweet is Donald Trump's Twitter, I don't know, Twitter storm.
He writes his own tweets.
If you couldn't tell, he writes his own tweets.
And, Jeb Bush is real low energy.
So,
favorite Donald Trump quote.
Keep this first tweet in mind, and then I'm going to read you some of Donald's post-election results in Iowa. Okay, so here's what he said. "My experience in Iowa was a great one. It started out with all of the experts saying I couldn't do well there and ended up in second place. Nice." That's tweet number 1. "Because I was told I could not do well in Iowa, I spent very little there. A fraction of Cruz and Rubio. Came in a strong second. Great honor." Great honor.
Great honor.
Tweet 3. "The media has not covered my long shot great finish in Iowa fairly. Brought in record voters and got second highest vote total in history."
In history.
"I will be talking about my wonderful experience in Iowa and the simultaneous unfair treatment by the media later in New Hampshire." Big crowd.
Big crowds.
Huge. Great honor. Big crowd.
Incredible.
Nice.
Incredible.
What do you make of all this Donald action? I mean, why do they let him write his own tweets?
Because I think Donald is truly in control of his campaign. There's a lot of people out there that don't write their own tweets. Who people think they write their own tweets. A lot of people don't write their own tweets.
I don't think Hillary writes her own tweets. I don't think Hillary even writes her...
No, Hillary doesn't. She only
it's
only her tweets when she says H.
Right, but I don't think she writes her signed tweets either.
You don't think she writes? Like, you think she tells somebody what she wants to write and they type it up?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is not related because this isn't a politician, but the Pope, quote unquote, writes his own tweets. But what really happens is he writes like a little sermon every day, and then he has one of his like senior priests take like some choice lines from the sermon and then tweet them out.
Oh.
I mean, do you consider that writing your own tweets? I mean, it's his words. No, that's not writing your own tweets.
But I mean, does Bernie Sanders write his own tweets?
Probably not. Bernie Sanders writes his own speeches. Did you know that?
Yeah, I could tell. Because there's always the same line in there.
Donald Trump doesn't.
Donald Trump doesn't have speeches.
No. Okay, so what's interesting is some people were doing some research on Donald Trump's speeches, and what's interesting about it is it seems like it's very stream of consciousness, and it's very like, this guy's just kind of unhinged and saying what he thinks, and he's all American. But what's interesting is peppered in there are actually these lines that are poll tested and like measured to be really resonant with the crowd that he's talking to. So it's actually a lot more calculated than what people think.
So it's like so do you think he's...
It's stream of consciousness, but then he knows like, okay, at some point I gotta say, so he does build the border, blah, 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 blah.
So it's almost better than Sarah Palin, who does the opposite. She takes random poll-tested words and
just strings them together.
Which was last week's, Maniacs.
Richard's monologue of the week.
It's funny.
Okay, so, and another thing about Donald. He does really well with the evangelicals.
No, he's huge. He's going to be incredible.
I'm huge. Evangelicals love me. The blacks, they love me. The evangelicals love me.
The Latinos.
Donald Trump reportedly mistook a communion plate for an offering plate. Classic mistake. You know what? You know who does that all the time? Evangelicals.
No, I know the difference. I'm not even evangelical.
Right.
But here's the thing. Now, here's the thing about the Donald. And I mean, there was somebody talking about, like, one of the reporters who follow him, and they say he has a really hard problem connecting with people. Like, so he does great at rallies. He can't do the one-on-one? But he can't do, like, like, when he goes to diners, he talks to his staff. But he doesn't, like, he's not the Bill Clinton going through the diner and shaking everybody's hand. And Hillary doesn't even do that.
I don't think,
But she's admitted, in this week's CNN Town Hall, she said, my husband does this a lot better than I do. Because Bill, like, let me tell you.
Oh, my God.
I've met him. I've had a 10-minute conversation with him.
Bill Clinton can literally convert voters with a handshake and, like, a 10-second conversation.
I talked to him for, like, 5 minutes.
I mean, you're like, you look at him and you're like, this guy's awesome. I trust him. I like him. I want him to be my friend.
He hasn't met him before. That's why.
No, I haven't met Bill.
Oh, you mean like, my God. And I met a lot of presidents. I met at least.
Hilarious.
I met two presidents. I met Jimmy Carter. No, I met two presidents. Most senators, but I met a couple presidents. And he's he just really like. But here's the thing: the other person who does that in person, which is totally random off the subject, but John Kerry in person has the Bill Clinton ad effect.
Wow, because he doesn't carry himself that way when you see him on the news or anything.
No, but when you see him in person, he's such like a nice guy. Like you're like so nice.
Oh, we're friends. And it's my new friend, John Kerry. My new friend, Bill Clinton. We're gonna go and hang out.
I don't know. I mean, we've done 4 State of the Unions now.
Yeah.
And I mean, you see there's certain members who it's like you could tell they have this ability to just presence. Like I think Paul Ryan has it. There was one time, twice we saw Paul Ryan. Even he was like, Paul Ryan.
Well, he's also you don't expect it, but he's like 1,000,000 feet tall.
Yeah. So is John Kerry.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a difference. Well, when we were at the State of the Union last year, this was when Ted Cruz was obviously not a presidential candidate, but his star was being born last year.
Oh, that was crazy.
Oh my God. Reporters were just surrounding him and he was loving it. He was like, this is exactly what I want. Other members of Congress could maybe get one person to talk to them.
But here's the thing. I actually thought, what I thought in Statuary Hall 2 years ago when we covered the State of the Union was I felt he took the oxygen out the room. He almost had the Bill Clinton effect. He wasn't quite there yet.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have the onstage poise that Bill Clinton has. But what would you say? The oxygen was a little bit depleted.
I don't know. I mean, I think he has the star. I mean, and he's like.
But did you feel the oxygen?
I don't know. Ted Cruz.
Faintly?
I find him creepy.
No, he is but he takes the oxygen room in a creepy, weird sort of way.
But I think the evangelicals, they connect with that. They connect with his vibe.
It's going to be huge.
It's going to be interesting.